I'm making a video upon request about hitchhiking. I have a little overview of what I'm going to talk about. This is about hitchhiking. So I will talk about why to hitchhike, a little bit of my story of hitchhiking, how did I get to go to hitchhike. And also then I will go into how to hitchhike, how to make it safely, and some tips and tricks from, let me think, soon 30 years of hitchhiking experience. So stay with me. Watch this video because hitchhiking is amazing. Even if you would not consider it, you might consider after this video. It's really a wonderful way to travel, wonderful way to get from A to B, excellent way to meet people, and I'm going to just go ahead now. So my story of hitchhiking started when I was on holiday with my parents, and I found it a bit boring to be with my parents at this holiday place, and I went for a hitchhiking adventure when I was 15 or 16. And since then I got basically hooked on hitchhiking. And I guess in the beginning I got picked up because I was young and people felt like, yeah, it's oh, this young guy, and let's give him a ride, and always with a backpack, so it looked like hiking. And I think by now people are not picking me up anymore because I'm young, but I think because people look like, because I'm a good hitchhiker, because people can see that I'm a good hitchhiker. And I'm going into now what I believe makes a good hitchhiker. So let's start a little bit with why would you want to consider hitchhiking in the first place? Well, there are many really good aspects towards hitchhiking. So one reason for hitchhiking is obviously you get from A to B without having to own a car. That gives you freedom, right? You don't have to, if you go for a hike, you can go from to one place, and you do not have to go back to where your car would be if you travel by car. So you have a lot more freedom with that. Another big plus of not having to have a car is obviously costs. Cars are really expensive to have, to insure, to run, and they're annoying. And in my opinion, a life built around cars, really, it takes freedom away from you. So my life is bicycle speed, bicycle distances, minus the times when I'm hitchhiking or using public transport. So yeah, I'm obviously standing not by the road now, because I want to make this video undisturbed and in peace, and without anybody feeling that I want a ride somewhere. But what you see is pretty much my setup. Oh, another thing about hitchhiking, why to hitchhike, obviously, is you really get to meet people. Like, even if you are bicycle traveling, you're not going to meet as many people as when you hitchhike. Also, when you hitchhike, costs are really low, and you get to meet people in their private space. The car is a very private space that I hope every hitchhiker respects a lot, and especially being invited into this private space, to me that's a huge privilege, honor, a show of trust, and I want to honor this back also. So I want to make sure that people have the, that they get the feeling like, yeah, that was a good choice to give this person a ride. Like, I got a good ride, and the hitchhiker got a good ride. Yeah, so I want to make it a win-win for everyone involved. So you really give something when you hitchhike. That's another reason to hitchhike, right? To give something. Another point to hitchhike is we have so many cars, and most of the cars drive around with 1 point something people. So we do need a lot more ride sharing, and to fill these existing capacities of free cars, available space in cars. While we do have ride sharing apps and ride sharing platforms, hitchhiking is really a real-time thing. I need very little planning for that. And trust me on that one, hitchhiking always works. So hitchhiking always works, and that's to me like a really nice thing. So I think, yeah, altogether I've had only positive experiences with hitchhiking. Yeah, you could say, yeah, but you're a guy. True. I'm going to that part when we are talking about safety of hitchhiking. I think the only bad experience I ever had was that somebody gave me a ride because the person knew that he's going to run out of fuel, and he needs someone to help push up the car up the hills. And then we always pushed up the car up the hills and jumped in. That was together with a friend. We were hitchhiking together, two blokes, young also at that time. And then that was maybe the reason why they gave us a ride, or that person gave us a ride. So that was slightly negative. Other than that, oh man, I could share so many wonderful stories of hitchhiking, and really, really deep stories. You'd be surprised how deep conversations can get with people, what kind of very private stuff people might share. So it's a bit of a, like, sometimes I feel a bit like, you know, how do you call it, where, you know, when people go and confess their sins. So people share stuff that they have never shared with anyone else. So it's, if you're interested in philosophy, interested in people, like people's thoughts and ideas and perspectives and people's questions for life and their attitudes, like, really give hitchhiking a try. And again, I meet people, which tells me that I'm a good hitchhiker. So many people give me rides, and I often ask, have you hitchhiked before? And people might not have hitchhiked before. Also, people say, I have never given a hitchhiker a ride, you're the first one. And I've also had one experience recently where a young couple said, like, this is such a great idea, like, you're standing by the road with a sign. They didn't know that hitchhiking is a thing. And over again, I hear that there is less hitchhikers. Why is there less hitchhikers? Well, because one could say hitchhiking works. You don't see the hitchhikers because they all sit in cars. On the other hand, the times where there were more hitchhikers were times where people didn't own cars so much. So now more hitchhikers own their own cars, or potential hitchhikers, but also we have ride-sharing apps and like, you know, ride-sharing platforms. Did I say ads? I meant apps. So there are those around also that that make people hitchhike less. I really advocate strongly for hitchhiking. It's super safe if you do it right, and statistically it's extremely safe anyways. So here in Finland, in the last 10 years or something, there was only 2 reported cases of crime involved hitchhiking. So that's very little compared to all kinds of other crimes. So let's go a little bit into the how to hitchhike. Really, I think good hitchhiking is a skill. Like, you need to know a few things. The first challenge you might have is to get to a good place where to hitchhike. You cannot just stand in the middle of town and start to hitchhike. You might need to take a local public transport to find a good place. On that mark, have a look at Hitchbase and Hitchwiki. Those are 2 web pages where hitchhikers contribute and enter information. For example, if you are in Joensuu and you want to head north, where is a good place to stand? Like, you cannot hitchhike on the highway, you shouldn't hitchhike on the highway. So often the ramps are, you know, some ramp along the way is not good. You really want to be in a good spot where there is like a lot of car traffic, where people are ideally not fast, where people have space to stop, but also space to see you, that they can see you and think like, oh yeah, okay, oh, luckily I have space to change lanes and go there, if that's 2 lanes maybe. So you want to be visible, and you want to be early visible. Hence I have this like safety reflective vest that I usually put on over my backpack. Like, when it's dark, I might actually wear it. I usually try not to hitchhike in the dark. So first is the location where you stand. And that means sometimes also that I get out of a ride earlier than the ride could take me, if I know that there is a good spot, like a petrol station or something, or a town where the speed limit is low. So you need to plan a little bit strategically how you get your rides. Also, on the topic of what kind of rides to accept. For example, if I want to go to Ilomantsi, yeah, there might be a lot of people who go to Tuupovara from Joensuu, which is somewhere half the way, or well, some other places along the way. So you might need to think what to write on your sign. And I'm going to show you this most amazing hitchhiking sign. I have painted so many hitchhiking signs, often the same signs again, usually using cardboard, and that's of course the hitchhiking classic, using cardboard that you find at a petrol station, and you have your permanent marker and then you just write up your sign. Now I have a sign that has been with me for many well, soon 2 years I think, or a year at least. And I want to explain you this sign because it's not only a sign, it's actually also a ground sheet where I sleep on. And I will show this sign soon. So back to the kind of the choice of place where to stand. For example, when you hitchhike in a country with a lot of highways, like in Germany, I usually get off on a petrol station before I need to change highways. So if I'm going from there to here to there, I get off here, even though the car might go a little bit further on the highway, but I want to get off at the rest area where I can talk to people. So sometimes it's even better not to stand somewhere, but you go stand under the protecting roof of the petrol station and you talk to the people before they go to pay. Say, hey, I see your number plate, you're going also to Munich, or you have a Munich or South German number plate. Do you happen to have a seat in your car and can take me some distance with you? And then they think about it, go paying, and then they still see you, and they had a first impression, right? They had the first contact. They see, hey, you're friendly, you're open-minded, you look clean, you're not smelling or anything, you have neat package. So something that makes you kind of attractive and gives a safe appearance. The second thing about the location is also the timing. So when do you go? Sometimes you might stand somewhere and you have like thousands of cars, literally, and they're all local commuters. And you feel like, oh my God, so many cars and nobody's giving me a ride. So sometimes you might think, okay, somebody who's traveling longer distances, when would they leave likely? You might also want to think about the sun and the weather. So hitchhiking in the rain is not that ideal. Hitchhiking in the dark is certainly not ideal. It works. I'm hitchhiking here in Finland in winter also, so it does work. But I try to be in daylight, and I also try to have rather the sun in my face than the sun behind me, so that I'm well illuminated and that people can see me and not have to look into the sun. Even though I might be looking into the sun, I'm not wearing sunglasses. We're going into the how already, you see, I'm just jumping a bit. But maybe I've said enough about the time. Or maybe still about the time. No, I go back to the sunglasses because I want to finish this thought. I'm not wearing sunglasses because I want people to be able to see my eyes. Very often you cannot see people's eyes because the reflections on the windscreens, but I still try to look where about I assume the driver is. So I try to look at every car. Sometimes you can't really because it's so many cars passing by, but I try to look into the eyes of the where I assume the eyes are. So, and look friendly, like not, you know, a weird smile, but like something like this, you know, not looking desperate, not looking kind of demanding, not looking angry for sure, impatient, anything, kind of neutral, friendly, inviting if you can. So the next thing is, well, no, I was at sunglasses. Yeah, so I continue with the how on the dress. I like to put a clean shirt. So even when I go to the woods and I have my forest clothing, or at least my forest shirt, and so I'm wearing a different hat, not the, you know, olive green forest hat that might have fire smells on it. I'm also not wearing the shirt. I'm wearing something more bright, more friendly, and certainly clean shirt. It's a shirt that I only use for the hitchhiking there and back or on the ways. And I always try to be clean. That means not only that my luggage is clean, that my whole package is clean, but also that I go and have a swim before I go and hit the road, or take a shower before I hit the road. I don't want to be like this sweaty somebody sitting in somebody's car. Also, I'm not going to put perfumes or deodorants because that's something that a lot of people are also sensitive to, this kind of strong artificial perfume-like smells. So people don't mind the smell of fire necessarily. Sometimes they're like, oh, you've been sitting by the fire, and suddenly you have a conversation, right? Some story. So where the fire was, and you can tell some stories. People want to hear stories. So clothing, yeah, maybe bright clothes, and for me it's like, yeah, in summer I wear the sarong. That's just my leg dress. I find the sarong is so convenient. It's like helps you stay clean. It's easy to make, multi-purpose item, and it somehow also, I believe at least, it makes you look harmless, right? If I would be here with combat trousers and boots, it gives a different appearance than like sandals or barefoot and like sarong or shorts maybe. Yeah, so like kind of dress like friendly. Yeah. I have also a blue lightweight jacket that I never wear in other occasions than in hitchhiking. Yeah, it's a bright blue, not too dominant, but like, yeah, and found secondhand, so very happy about this. So the way you dress is important. Apparently hats are nice. I think brimmed heads are nicer than like these caps. And also I've heard, at least with guys, that beards like that's, I've read in a hitchhiking guide when I was 15 that beards help. I don't know. In my opinion, they do. I'm having a beard, and I've always been mostly hitchhiking with a beard, and I can't say otherwise. I don't know about glasses. I do wear glasses sometimes, but not when hitchhiking. So I don't know if they help. Like people say that, I don't know, with glasses you look more intellectual or something. What else? Regarding appearance, also the luggage. I know hitchhikers who hide their luggage kind of off the road, kind of on the side of the road. I like to present my luggage. I want to kind of communicate, hey, this is what you're getting into. This is my amount of luggage, right? I have my backpack, and sometimes I might have skis or a small pulk. I'm also hitchhiking with a folding bicycle when I know that the last bit there won't be cars and I need to cycle, or that I'm going into some town where it's nice to have a bicycle or want to, go around with bicycle. So, and this folding bike, I also have a bag that the bike doesn't make anything dirty there. So it's like all clean. And actually the bike and the skis, for example, I'm putting kind of between me and the backpack, so it's not that visible because it doesn't look that huge. I think, at least that's my experience, that most of the time people have space in the cars, and my backpack is usually sized in a way that I could take the backpack on my lap, right? So, and something else you can somehow juggle around and get in. And this folding bicycle, like, it might look bigger than it actually is. Same with the skis. If I present the skis like this, that looks really huge. I just lay them kind of flat. So they are not really hidden, but I'm also not showing kind of, they don't look as big as they can possibly look, right? I think, maybe you get what I mean. So backpack, oh yeah, camouflage. Also the backpack shouldn't necessarily be camouflage, but I usually have the warning vest over the backpack. I'm looking at my little cheat sheet here. Location, oh yeah, bus stops. Bus stops are really good places to hitchhike. Because it's designed for vehicles to stop there, right? So it's a really good, safe place also for cars to get out of the traffic. You want a place that is safe for the cars to stop, where it's convenient, that you can, that the driver can also get out maybe and help sorting some stuff. So usually I stand kind of at the very beginning of the bus stop, not off the road, really kind of just on the edge, and I'm actually holding the sign kind of into the road, but I'm not standing on the road. Yeah, so if the white line is here, that's where I would be standing. So that cars can pass me and then stop behind me. Then I just grab my bag and go to the passenger side door. Just open the door and say, hey, good day to you. Um, like, I'm going to Nurmes, or you going to Nurmes or something. And they say, oh, I'm actually going to Uimaharju, which kind of also goes the same direction. You can get to Nurmes via Uimaharju and Lieksa, but I rather want to stay on the highway. And I might say like, oh, actually, in that case, thank you, but no thank you. I think I want to stay on the highway, so I will wait for a ride that will take me there. And people are fine with that. Yeah. And then the next thing is that usually people let you, open the doors and load your own luggage somewhere in the trunk, and you know how trunks open, and sometimes people get out and help you, but not necessarily. So that's all good. And when I'm then in the car, I'm saying good day to you. Thank you for giving me a ride. That's very kind. And then some conversation is starting. Yes, attitude. Attitude when hitchhiking. Also when you're standing, not just when you're in the car. When you're standing, the attitude is like, really, as I mentioned, be friendly. Like, you have no like, yes, hitchhiking always works, but you cannot demand or expect that anybody is stopping for you. They do, people do, and very reliably. At the same time, if a car, even with a number plate from the area that you're going to, is not stopping, and even if you see that they have a lot of space, there might be so many different reasons that you have no idea about why they are not giving you a ride. They might be on the phone with someone, they might be only going a little way, they might not feel like giving hitchhikers a ride. Who knows? It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter. Just be super, super grateful to the people that give you a ride. Yeah, because that's something that, yeah, you cannot take for granted, even though, oh, this is tickling me on my leg. So, so it's really something that should always be super, super friendly. And it's a wonderful time also when I'm standing and waiting. I might actually be listening to a podcast, or I might be calling a friend or so, or I might just be like looking around and enjoying and learning something about the location, observing some insects, some birds, something. There's always something to see. So even the time when you're standing, yes, it might be cold, or the sun might be burning down on you, or it might be rainy or windy or whatnot. Really, your attitude also helps you to kind of get through this maybe less desirable waiting time. Yeah, so to me, the waiting time is part of the hitchhiking. It's also something where I'm always curious, like, where will I be standing? And I, especially with journeys that I'm very frequently traveling, I get to see the same places again and again. So I know, oh, I've been standing here many times. Yeah, so I have kind of my spots where I know that are good places, where I know here's a low speed limit and people are usually driving there or something. So that's, I think, the way that you know the time you're standing is going by in a way that like kind of, I don't know, don't go into the suffering mode, embrace it. Yeah, that also means dress for the weather. Yeah, take plenty of water, take some snacks. It might sometimes take longer. Usually, like, let me think, maybe at least here in Finland about 20%, 10 to 20% longer than what Google Maps might tell you. Yeah, so it's pretty fast. And very often it can be really fast. You might have, like, you're just getting out of a car, and that often also helps because people see, like, right, he got out of the car, so apparently, like, he's a good hitchhiker, right? It's safe to give him a ride. Others have done it before, right? So very often immediately a car stops before I put up the sign. Yeah, so I try to have the sign always ready. I'm not going to be on my phone. If I have the phone, I quickly hide it behind my sign. When a car comes, I want to be visible as, like, engaging, attentive, inviting, right? Open-minded, not distracted. So here in Finland, it's the thumb. and really a sign helps. You can stand without a sign, yeah, many times that helps. It's quite obvious that what you want to do. Like to me, a sign shows that like, yeah, you have done this before, you know what you're doing. It's like, it's a communicating, right? People say like, oh, it's good that you have a sign, you know. People say that. It's like, oh, that really helped. Like without the sign, I would not have given you the ride. And now I want to show you my sign. So you can see I just grab a stick and hold the stick in here. So if you've ever tried to hold a wet piece of cardboard straight and then like this, not so nice. So this is like really most wonderful. And this sign, I'm coming a bit closer now. So it's made of tuvek, some kind of construction material. I have like these two clips, and you see I have a front and a back side here, and I always make sure that the crease is on the top, right? So when I write on the sign like that the crease is on the top, and now you will see what is on here. This is really the most amazing hitchhiking sign in my opinion. So we have destinations that I often go to. We have Joensuu, Ilomantsi, Nurmes, Kuopio, Rautavaara, Koli. Then I have thanks. And then I have also thanks in Finnish. Sometimes in spaces like places where you might not have the right destination and you don't want to waste a space on your sheet. And actually the sheet is still double the size, so the whole back side is still empty. And this is the really back side. The sign or the sheet of tuvek is about 2.20 m times 1.20 m, so it's plenty for a ground sheet to put under your isolation mattress when you're camping, sleeping. So it's a multi-purpose double function item. And then I have north and south and east and west, Jyväskylä, different kind of places. And then I have like this one I want to show you. This one, 23 kilometers. It's a magical sign. It kind of works in any place. Reason why I have 23 kilometers there, it's because like it's much better to get a ride for 23 kilometers than to walk them. That kind of for starters. The second part for 23 kilometers, it's like it's not specific for a place. I can use it pretty much everywhere. And I also know that if somebody stops, it's not just for 5 kilometers or something. It's more likely actually 23 kilometers or more. Another reason for this is if I'm standing here in Joensuu and I want to go to Nurmes and I'm standing with the Nurmes sign, it might be that somebody who is going only to Kontiolahti might say like, ah, well, 30 kilometers, that doesn't help him. He obviously wants to go to Nurmes. I'm not giving him a ride. Or on the other hand, people who are going all the way to Nurmes or even to Kajaani and beyond, they might think like, oh, to Nurmes, that's like over an hour. I might have this guy in the car. I don't know, like he might be smelling or talking weird stuff all the time of some weird religions or conspiracy theories or kind of missionary on a topic. I don't know. So it's like 23 kilometers is not as much of a commitment as all the way to Nurmes. So, and then when people stop and they are curious, like, okay, I can take you 23 kilometers. What's there? Where are you going? Well, I'm actually going to Nurmes, but 23 kilometers is fine. And then they say, well, if you want, I'm also going to Nurmes. You can come with me to Nurmes. You know, it's like, okay, great, right? So kind of it gets you into the car. It gets you in the situation that drivers get an impression about you, and that's really the impression that people get is what gets you in the car in the first place, and that's what gets people to take you to where you might want to go. Very often people might say, oh yeah, I can drive you that part also, right? They might be ready to, you know, go a detour to bring you to your final destination, and I'm pretty much always refusing this because I don't want that cars drive distances that they don't need to drive. I know there are cars going to drive that place that are going there anyway. Yeah, so I'm always politely declining these offers. it's very friendly, and once or twice I've accepted this when it was getting dark and was rainy and it was getting late, and so that I knew, okay, at least I will be at my destination. So it was like when it comes to an end. 23 kilometers, I think it's quite a nice one. Locally, I also have in my kind of day pack, city pack, I have this very little one. It says Keskusta, center of Joensuu, and or if I only want to go to the next suburb, then I have Karsiko, and on the way back I have Kulho. That's the place when I go back from the center. Usually I cycle, but it has helped me out once when I wanted to take the bus, and the bus was early. I was on time at the bus stop, but the bus had been early and had just passed, and then I was like, ah, cool, I hitchhike. So don't do this so often, but I have that with me because it's like really super light way of communication. About this hitchhiking sign, I have recently acquired some Tyvek, and I have made 4 empty hitchhiking signs, and I think at least one of them I want to give away to one of you. The other 2, I have people in mind already who might want to get them, or to who I want to give them as a present, but at least one as a giveaway. And if you have never hitchhiked before and you want to give it a try, I'll be happy to send you one. So put it in the comments, and the first one to comment like, yay, I have never hitchhiked before and I want to give hitchhiking a try, I will give you send you one, and then just get in contact and we figure this out somehow. What else? So sign or not, behavior, attitude, time, appearance, conversations. So sometimes you get into cars where kind of the whole car is already telling a story of the people or the person who's giving you the ride. And that might be, in my case, for example, if, I don't know, Wunderbaum, Redneck, I don't know, like some weird music that is like, you know, some political directions where I might not be in the same line or so. So like, yeah, it's sometimes it's easy to find areas where you disagree. I always stay out of these unless drivers go in this direction with the conversation, and I'm always like kind of very polite, trying to be like overly neutral, kind of not taking any political sides or parties, because usually I'm also not. I'm kind of, I feel like I'm slightly somehow beyond or above. I don't believe that this is so good to divert or divide ourselves in right and left and whatnot. So the conversations that I'm sometimes starting, or that I'm kind of, you know, conversations go in directions, and sometimes with the questions you ask or things you say, you can kind of make sure that some things do not go in this direction but more in this direction. So I want to stay kind of in neutral topics where I feel like, yeah, the driver is also like happy to talk about this. So really, once again, I want this experience to be pleasant for the driver. Yeah, so that it's not annoying, not a discussion, not a fight or anything. And I've never had any of that, right? Like, and very often I get like really interesting conversations where, for example, I had one driver who was like, we were passing by a clear cut, and there are plenty in the moment in Finland, and have been too plenty already before the Russian border was closed, and now less wood is imported from Russian clear cuts, so now there's more clear cuts happening in Finland. Also of natural old forest is really like a sad story. And this person had a like quite a big fancy car, and we were getting to talk about clear cuts and forestry in Finland, and also my profession, wilderness guide, so there's often something that like we connect on these nature levels and camping and whatnot. And he obviously was like, not obviously, but it turned out that he was like a forest owner. He had a lot of forest, and after this 45-minute ride, he said like, hey, thank you for this. Like from this short moment, what I just learned about forest and biodiversity and survival and kind of the meaning of life, also the meaning of biodiversity for life, including the human survival, like I think I'm not going to do clear cuts anymore. You know, this is like these are like really like the stories that you don't get when you travel by bus or train or fly or drive with your own car, right? So it's really quite amazing. Also, like kind of mental support. People tell you sad stories, and you know that it's like that they have someone who's listening to them and attentive, like not distracted. Conversations, yeah. And then one point, sleeping. You might be tired for one reason or the other. When I'm hitchhiking, like maximum I do a power nap. And I always ask the driver if it's okay. And I put an alarm for myself and I do 15-minute max. That's kind of the sleeping that I allow myself. And I do not do that if it's a short journey, right? So if it's a longer journey, and then I might say, yeah, do you mind? And no, go ahead. And I also don't do this if I have the feeling that the driver itself, him or herself, is tired already. Which almost brings me to safety. Yeah, so safety, as already mentioned, first of all, it's kind of this obvious road safety, right? You're standing by a road where people are driving past, sometimes fast, right? You really want to be visible. You want to be have your attention on the road, especially when you're sometimes walking down the road to get to a better location. You really need to pay attention, because usually when I walk on the road, I walk on the opposite, kind of into the traffic, so that I see the traffic that is coming up towards me and that I can get out of the way. But when I'm hitchhiking, I'm walking on the same roadside that the cars are driving, so that I can show my sign and turn around when I hear a car coming. So you really need to pay attention to traffic to make it safe for you, and also make it safe for the drivers, not to stand too much into the road, so that people have, you know, can pass you without being disturbed by you, but also regarding the stopping, as already mentioned, that it's safe for the cars to stop there. Yeah, so sometimes you might walk to a location where it's safer to stop, or where cars can see you from further away already. Then also about safety, it's often a conversation that comes up with drivers is about the safety of hitchhiking. And it's still like kind of the stories of the 70s, 80s, where there was like, you know, stories, I probably not even a lot of stories, but stories that stick around, stories that get outspoken, that make it into the news, of rapes and stealing and whatnot. So, and from both sides, right? So that the hitchhiker was like kind of criminal, or the driver criminal, or unsafe behavior. And like I'm always, when it comes to safety, the first thing I'm always mentioning is that ride sharing makes driving safer. Statistically, ride sharing cars are less involved in accidents. And there are reasons for this. One reason is that usually when people have a guest in their car, they drive more responsibly, right? Because they somehow feel, you know, they don't want to upset or give a feeling of unsafety to the passenger. So people drive more responsibly when they have a passenger. The second thing is you have two sets of eyes on the road. And that's also my service as a hitchhiker. I'm looking ahead, I'm looking in the mirror, I'm kind of having an eye on the road. I see what is happening. I help the driver if, you know, something falls down or needs to fumble with the phone or something, to make the whole driving safer. Also, I need to get a sip of water. Yeah, I once had this driver who told that in the glove box there's binoculars, and he asked me if I could look for police cars or speed cameras, because he was in a rush and had to speed a bit. He was a safe driver, it was a free road and a safe car and everything. So he was going way too fast, and I helped him with the police. It was a bit funny. Then also about safety, something I like to do when hitchhiking is I want to, oh, clothing still. Um, Regarding the safety clothing, visibility, I also have a rain poncho. When it's raining, I have a rain poncho that is in a very visible color, kind of a bright green, not this neon green, but kind of brightish green. And this rain poncho is like, the nice thing is you're visible, you're protected, and when you get in a car, you're not this wet person. You're just taking off the whole thing and stuff it close together in its own bag, and you keep the car dry. Yeah. About safety, I wanted to say also that that your luggage, make sure you take it out. Right, that this is why it's important to have only few pieces of luggage, that you can also take it out, especially if you have things in there that are relevant for your safety when hitchhiking. For example, water or food or shelter if you're going for a trip where you might stay overnight, either because the route is so long that you're wanting to camp somewhere, or because you might want to have the freedom to say like, hey, this is a wonderful location, I might actually want to wake up over there by this lake tomorrow morning, right? So I often have a sleeping pad and sleeping bag and a tarp with me, and a small wood stove, and my lunchbox that I can cook food in, and water and so on. So safety, important that you get your stuff with you. Also safety, obviously when hitchhiking, no drugs, no alcohol. I always want to be sober and well hydrated. Sunscreen might be a safety issue also. Visibility as mentioned, protection from elements. Also, what I do have now, not on me, I have this so-called get the fuck out bracelet, GTFO bracelet. It's just like kind of the wheel of a lighter, you know, this gas lighter. So just take the wheel, which is very hard metal, and that's put it on an elastic string. And with that you can open a car window in case there's an accident. When I still had an own car, I had a proper glass breaking hammer. And now when hitchhiking, obviously I don't want to carry something bulky, so I have at least means to get out in case there is an accident or so. Or really in case of, I think it's so unlikely, in case the driver doesn't let me out. If the driver is like, I don't know, lunatic, speeding like crazy and doesn't want to let me out, even though I'm asking to let me out, then I can start dismantling the car. I can break the windows, and I think as soon as you start breaking the car of the driver, they will let you out. Yeah. Also, I do have a knife with me. I don't think a knife is a weapon, but a knife can be a tool to, you know, destroy the car from inside. And then you might need to decide for your own if you want to take pepper spray or something. I personally wouldn't want to pepper spray the person who is driving the car that I'm sitting in. I might pull the handbrake, right, or something like this. But I wouldn't want to walk around with pepper spray in the car, because you will be equally affected by it in this small space. So wouldn't be my approach. I have a friend who is with the smartphone asking when the driver, somehow if she has a weird vibe, she might ask like, is it okay if I take a picture of your number plate? I promised to my friend that I do this, because they always say when you hitchhike, don't hitchhike, and then you do promise to send pictures. So, and when the driver is not okay with this, then she doesn't get in, which has never happened to her, that they were not okay with that. So nowadays with the smartphones, you can have speed dials to the police, including sending your locations. So I think with the smartphones, it has, in that sense, it offers a lot of safety that didn't exist in the 70s, 80s, before mobile phones. Of course, like, that means you need to have battery in your phone, and you need to have coverage, which depends on where you're traveling. Do you have coverage or not? Here in Finland, you pretty much have coverage everywhere. I think now I gave you quite a lot of information about hitchhiking. Again, these web pages, Hitchbase and Hitchwiki. I'd love to hear your stories. Please comment and share some stories, or ask questions if you have questions. And as promised, like, I'm giving away one of these hitchhiking signs. You just need one really big permanent marker. Also recommend, when you hitchhike, do not have this small one where you need to fill out the letters. Have really a big one that, you know, you have these permanent markers that have this, like, I don't know, 3 centimeter diameter, and you can just like make 3 lines and you already have like a letter. So actually with a marker like this, I've painted this sign, so it's really like just writing each letter twice, and that's quite quick. With the white one, I go for contrast, so I go with black and white. You can color out your hitchhiking signs. I have seen so wonderful, amazingly creative hitchhiking signs. A huge thumb was my favorite, like really a huge thumb. I like this a lot. This is my go-to now. After many things that I've tried, I'm, I guess, staying with this for now. I don't know what beats this, but yeah. Okay, I'll have a look at my list. Did I forget anything? I mentioned ecological reasons for hitchhiking, the pleasure and experience reasons, mentioned locations, where to stand, when to stand, and a little bit about kind of the strategy of route planning. So I think that's it. I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you got something out of this. I really hope to animate more of us to hitchhike. It's real-time ride sharing without needing technical infrastructure, just making use of existing places, existing resources and capacities. And it's really a really wonderful way to travel, even for commuting, if you know what you do. And I guess for commuting I would probably go for like a ride-sharing app or commuting apps. They exist also, to have something slightly more reliable. But I guess when hitchhiking becomes more popular again, which I hope this video helps with, then also the kind of daily commuting via hitchhiking can work again. So that's it from me. Please have a look at other videos on my channel. There is stuff about off-grid life, some things about bushcraft and wilderness things, all kinds of skills and philosophical things. So have a look at my channel. Please, if you like this video, like it, comment, share it, spread the idea of hitchhiking. Of course, feel invited to subscribe to this channel. And now that you might be looking at it, have a look at my TEDx talk, Saving the World with Your Spoon, or just type into YouTube, carry #yourspoon, then you will find this also. Most wonderful times to you. Enjoy your journeys, enjoy your rides, and that's all. Have a good one. Bye bye.